With every big life decision I make, I always map out the pros and cons and try to be logical about it.
Important.
And see what's the best case scenario.
If I were in Japan and I was paying all this money for this stuff, I'm definitely moving straight to Puerto Rico. Hey guys, Bryson here, and welcome back to the reaction channel, to the Tommy Bryson show. And by the way, guys, your boy right now has a dad stash. You guys are calling it a dad stash, so I'm gonna stick with a dad stash, okay? I don't have no kids, bro, but okay, I'll accept it. Now, overall, guys, today in this video, we're going to be reacting to Erica. She is a YouTuber, and apparently she's actually going to be leaving Japan. We made a video last time about her living in Japan and how expensive it actually was, but apparently now she's moving. I want to find out exactly what's actually going on. By the way, guys, it feels like I haven't seen you guys in forever. Hey, what's up? Long-term team for the win. It's your boy, Tommy Bryson. And as always, guys, like this video on top of that. Also, if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. That is how we keep this channel thriving. Without further ado, though, let's find out exactly what's going on with Erica and why does she want to leave Japan so bad? By the way, Erica has really white teeth for some reason. It's crazy. I wish I had those teeth, okay? I wish I did.
The time has come to say goodbye to Japan. Growing up as a military child, I've moved around the world a lot, but Japan is the closest thing to home that I have. This is partly because I was born here, and partly
she was born in Japan.
Because it's the only country.
By the way, Japan is cool, guys, but Japan is not that cool because it's really expensive.
That I keep returning to. My parents live here now, and so does my extended Japanese family. I've also never felt.
Bro, look how many people there are there. This looks exactly like New York City. Like, look at the train right here and everything like that. Bro, it looks exactly like New York City.
Safer anywhere in the world.
But then there's like bamboos and trees. That's awesome.
Japan, and the convenience here is unmatched.
I feel the same way, like living in Puerto Rico and living like in my home country. Like, you never feel safer and just like so at home and at peace like in your home country. It's
Trains
awesome.
are always on time. People are polite to each other. It's clean.
Same here in Puerto Rico.
Food is so good. And
I don't know about that food, man. I'm not a big fan of all that sushi stuff, but I should expand my palate, right, guys? I don't want to be one of those people that's always like, oh, I don't like it. Have you tried it? Nah. I don't want to be that for the rest of my life. So I might start trying some
General
things.
life is affordable. You can easily grab a bite to eat with drinks for under $15. Look
at that. Bro, I think life has just changed, you know. $15 for like a meal is a big deal for me, you know. I eat 3 meals a day, so that's like what, $45? You crazy?
I'm changing the fact that I love Japan, but I also want to give other countries a try. Even though I've been moving around the world since I was a child, this is the scariest move I've ever done.
By the way, you might want to be careful with this, okay? Because there's something called, for example, self-sabotage, and you might be sabotaging yourself by forcing yourself to start over all the time. So be careful with this, like a real thing. Like, if it's a really good move for yourself and you understand it, great. But if it's not that, then be careful what you're doing. Because I also want to travel the world and stuff like that. Like, for example, I want to go to Colombia and like to Dominican Republic and stuff like that. But I'm going to be there for like a month and then come back home. You know, this is my home now. This is where my roots are. Be careful with self-sabotage. It's like a real thing.
Before we'd move with my dad, who was in the Air Force, everything
That's so cool.
was already set up. Our new home, my school,
look at her mom.
His work, and everything we owned was shipped across. It was just transplanted from one country to another.
I hate moving. I can't stand it.
And we generally never lived in any country for more than 3 years, so moving was part of the routine.
I had this childhood, but accidentally. I stayed in Tortola until I was like 12 or 13. I was 14, and then I went to Puerto Rico. And then from Puerto Rico, I went to New York. Now I live in Puerto Rico. It's great to move around, stuff like that, you know, but it's hard on kids because sometimes you just don't really establish any roots because you're always like moving from one place to the next place. So it's not really that great.
There was no risk.
But I'm happy I moved, guys. I'm so happy.
And every other move always had a purpose and an end destination. When my parents were living in Germany, I moved to the US on my own to go to college at Notre Dame.
Nice.
After that, I moved to DC for law school, then Tokyo for work.
By the way, if you guys don't know, Erica's actually a lawyer, which paid off $240,000 in student loan debt. How crazy is that?
But this move is different. There's no destination. Now I'm embarking on my own adventure.
Sounds like self-sabotage. I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is tricky.
I don't know what lies ahead, but I just know that I'm at a place in my life where it's time. So why am I
thought Erica had like a whole excuse my in what's it called? In what's it called when you're like being too nosy and stuff like that? I don't know what it's called. I don't know the word. But I thought she had like a whole like a whole relationship and stuff like that. So, are they gonna go together? What's gonna happen there?
Leaving Japan. I've been in Tokyo for almost 5 years now.
5 years.
I moved here right after graduating from law school to accept what I thought at the time was my dream job as a
How awesome is that, right? Like how life just changes just like that. Like I had this whole idea, all of a sudden it's not what I thought it
corporate
was.
lawyer at this fancy law firm. Spoiler alert, some of you know if you've seen the video, turns out it wasn't the dream job. I left that law firm and founded a legal tech company called Plug in Law last year.
Oh, nice. Plug and Law is like her how do I say this? It's like if you have like a website or you need like quick law stuff, like she helps you find everything you actually need. And she gives you like all the legal documents for your like website, like all those like disclosures. It's pretty cool stuff, man.
And the business is doing well enough where we can live comfortably. Everything I do now is completely remote, so there's no work tying me to Japan. And when
Nice.
I graduated from Georgetown Law, I had over $200,000
Yeah, she has a ring on her finger.
of student loans. So I never could have taken a risk like this. But now that I've paid off my student loans, I don't have the debt looming over me.
Nice.
My finances are
I think it sounds like she was there for a while because it was like she was there for work. Then while YouTube was kind of like playing out, she stayed there also. Now she has her company, and now she's kind of like ready to say, hey, maybe we don't really want to stay in Japan that long, so let's just go test something out. Maybe this is not self-sabotage.
thankfully in check. I've got my emergency fund, no student debt, long-term investments in place.
Nice.
And as I've been building up these various income streams since quitting my law firm job, I've focused on diversifying my income streams.
Nice.
I think the last video I made a few months ago,
My 12 sources of income streams. That's awesome. A lot of YouTubers, the thing is with YouTube is you can call them diversified income streams, but at the end of the day, a lot of them are just like piggybacking YouTube, which is not like a problem, but the big problem, I think one of the person that does this the most well is Roberto Blake. Like he does a great job of having like separate income streams that have really nothing to do whatsoever with YouTube that much, you know, and that's awesome. But you have to be careful because YouTube is great. But if things don't work out, then you kind of like put all your eggs into that basket.
I was at 12 income streams. So even if something terrible like YouTube shutting down happened tomorrow, I still have other income streams that wouldn't be impacted. I've diversified. Nice. And so really we have nothing.
Yeah. The problem is that a lot of what I remember last time with the Plug and Law thing is that a lot of the clients do funnel in through YouTube, right? So if YouTube does stop and if it's like something like ugly, why YouTube stop, that could potentially be. But this is not that bad. You know, this girl, if she's been a savvy, she's made so much money from YouTube by this point, potentially, that she should be fine. And she also has, for example, an emergency account. On top of that, she has like skill of being a lawyer. She can do that anywhere and everywhere and make a ton of money.
Binding us to Japan. We're free to go wherever we want to. So it seems silly if we pass on this opportunity. We also don't have any children, which can be a huge joy, but also a huge anchor to your life. As I mentioned, my upbringing meant I moved around a lot. This obviously shaped who I am, but also it's not the life I necessarily want for my children.
Agreed. I went through the same thing, and that's not really what I want to do for my kids. Like I would want them to have like those experiences, like go into the cultures, but I want us to have like roots. You know what I mean? Agreed.
I know.
Dad Stash agrees.
Firsthand how it feels to keep moving to different schools and making new friends.
It sucks.
It's a lot harder for children to leave everything behind. In simple
But sometimes you have to do it, you know, like a lot of our parents, like immigrants, you ain't got that choice. You ain't got to be worried about all this. You got to do it because it just makes sense.
If you leave a place after 4 years and you're 8 years old now, that's half of your life being left behind.
It's funny when you think about it, huh? Half of your life.
I'm ready for children. I want to offer them stability. I want them to have one place that they can call home.
Nice.
One place they call kindergarten, elementary, middle school, and so on.
By the way, I like that. It's a great idea. But some of the adversity that you face also made you like a strong character. So pass some of those things on to your kids. Not like unnecessary adversity, but it can't be too perfect. You know what I mean? Like it has to be like just perfect enough, you know? Like there's adversity, don't remove all the adversity as a parent. they have to have like their own struggles in a sense to build character.
I really want them to have the chance to make long-term friendships and lasting memories. So in my mind, I have a couple of years left before I'm ready for children, and so now is the chance for us to travel the world, living our digital nomad life,
Nice.
enjoying the freedom to move around.
Nice. So this is not like a permanent move. It's more like this reminds me a lot of the 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss, where he says, hey, just take mini vacations, right? Like mini retirements. You go one place for 2 months, another place for 2 months, and then another place for 2 months for like a month, and it's awesome.
Another reason is taxes. It'd be odd for my channel if I didn't mention money. Japan isn't the most efficient place for taxes. Depending on your income, you
New York
can pay anywhere from 5% all the way to...
Look at this, bro. If you make 40 million yen, I don't know how much that is though. It's 40%. 18 million yen, 33%. My phone's not on me, guys, so I don't know how much a yen converts to. She's gonna tell us most likely.
45% for the national tax. And then in addition to that, there's the local tax, which is around 10%.
Bro, that's crazy. It's almost like half your income going to tax.
Meaning if you're at that top end of income, you could be taxed over half. To put that into perspective, paying over 50% in taxes means that you're essentially working January through June for the government.
That's crazy, isn't it, guys? I never thought about it like that, huh? That's a great way to put it. January to June for the government, and then June to December for yourself.
Every year. I have no problem paying taxes, but there's no escaping the thought that you could have a similar life elsewhere and pay less in taxes.
Yeah, that's very true.
Japan is by far my favorite country in the world, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to spend so many years here. And it's probably not the last time I'll live in Japan, but there are some things about Japan that I wish were a little different. And I think living and working here versus being a tourist here is different. In
I see.
Japan, there are these unspoken rules. If you're visiting Japan, you'll never experience this, and it's not expected of you. But if you do live here, there
I want to hear this.
are unspoken rules you're expected to follow. And if you don't follow them, you're
What are the rules, Erica?
judged. For example, if you're working in an office building and going into an elevator, there's an unspoken rule that if you're a woman, you're expected to stand right where the elevator buttons are and hold the door open to let all the men out of the elevator first, then you have to be the last one out. Sort of out of respect for the men. And in general, I think there's still
Let's discuss the lack of female leaders in Japan.
a lot of progress that needs to be made here for women's equality. In 2019, only 11% of managers in Japanese companies were women. Compare that to 43% of managers in the US and 39% in Sweden. Tokyo Medical University, which is
I think that's a great idea, but it's also important to understand like where these numbers are coming from, right? Because it's kind of like saying like, well, these people are these people, but you know, America is like a whole different culture and country as a whole, and you know, it's just saying, for example, I'm not saying like, you know, women don't deserve rights or whatever, but I'm saying like it depends a lot, right? Basically on the culture of that country. What I believe in is like a free capitalist country. Like Warren Buffett says, like if somebody wants to go out there and become a manager, they can if they want to. But if they don't want to, then they don't want to, right? So it's important to understand like the full source behind these numbers. That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
is like the Harvard of Japan, a few years back admitted to changing test results to exclude women.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that more men would become doctors.
That's crazy.
There's obviously a lot of work that needs to be done. Another thing that I know not everyone will understand or relate to or agree with, so I want to be a bit sensitive
I think it's cool that she's talking about this stuff in her video because she's like a creator. She has exposure, so why not talk about
how I say it, because I can only speak about my personal experience and I don't want to make generalizations.
Yeah.
But as a half Japanese person here, my mom is Japanese, my dad is American, I've never felt fully accepted as Japanese. In Japan, I'm seen as a foreigner. There's a term called hafu, half, meaning you're half Japanese.
This is crazy, bro.
And I remember a few years back, Naomi Osaka, who also has a Japanese mother and is hafu, decided to give up her US citizenship so that she could play for Japan in the Olympics.
Interesting.
And this was the water cooler talk at the time among my Japanese colleagues. Is Naomi Osaka Japanese enough? They'd mentioned how she doesn't even speak fluent Japanese. And
why do people care about other people's opinion? Like, why do people care about this stuff? Like, why would I care what other people think about any of this stuff? You know what I mean?
remember feeling sad that instead of celebrating that this incredible athlete would be representing Japan, the conversation was on whether she was Japanese enough. And things are changing in the right direction.
Oh my gosh. Am I this color enough, guys? Am I? You know what I mean? It's stupid.
And this isn't representative of all Japanese. There are closed-minded people in every country.
Exactly.
But it is something that, especially as a hafu, I've always felt a bit sad about.
Imagine being called something like that, like a halfie or something like that. Like you're half something. Like, why with these stupid names, bro? It's ridiculous. Like, oh, you're a hafu. You know, you're just half Japanese and half this. You know, let's call you hafu.
Of course, there are more surface level things about Japan that I wish were different. Fruit is so expensive here.
It's like a banana was like $3 here, bro. It's stupid.
Sometimes a single apple at a grocery store is more than $5.
You see, I told you guys.
Real estate in Tokyo specifically is so expensive. If you're looking to buy a new apartment in Tokyo, $1 million will get you about 600 square feet.
Do you hear this, guys? 600 square feet? You hear how stupid this is?
I just looked at Zillow, and in Texas,
look at this, guys.
you can get 6,000 square feet for that price. Now,
and you don't even need all
I don't want
that.
to dwell on these because really these aren't the reasons I'm leaving Japan. And still, Japan is my favorite country in the world, and I feel lucky to
I like how she's like saying that. You know, I love Japan, but we still got work to do. You know what I'm saying?
have spent a large portion of my life here. So I'll go into the most personal reason why I've actually decided to leave Japan.
This is the sweet spot, guys. So this is where things get interesting. I'm going to adjust and I'm going to wipe my dad's dash, and let's hear this.
With every big life decision I make, I always map out the pros and cons and try to be logical about it.
Important.
And see what's the best case scenario.
If I were in Japan and I was paying all this money for this stuff, I'm definitely moving straight to Puerto Rico. 4% taxes, tropical weather, amazing people, amazing food, things are cheap, rent is cheap, homes are cheap, money is great. I like Japan. I mean, I like Puerto Rico.
And the worst case scenario. When I left my law firm, that's the process I went through. So when my husband and I were weighing the options,
Oh, she has a husband, guys. I told you guys she has a husband. I knew about this guy, man. I was like, because initially, like, the video started off with just like not really mentioning him, but I know she has a husband. I remember.
and deciding if we would leave Japan, we went through creating this list. And one of the pros of leaving was that we'd be able to spend more time with his family. As background, my husband works in finance with crazy hours and only really
One thing I've heard about Japan is that the hours are crazy. People literally die working. That's like a thing, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like an honor or it was like something, I don't know what it was, but it was like, it was that intense where people literally like, oh my gosh, just imagine that, guys.
gets
And I think the population growth is actually negative, if I'm not mistaken. So people are actually not populating, which is not that great
one
either.
vacation a year. It's not exactly a long holiday either. Max 7 days if he's lucky.
Are you hearing this? 7 days vacation a year. I work 365 days and you give me 7 days. So I work for you for 358 days. Oh, thank you so much. You're so generous.
Only 7 days a year to go either someplace new or visit his parents who live in Sweden. I've been really fortunate the past year and a half with my work completely remote to be able to visit my family often. But he hasn't had that privilege because he still had his 9 to 5. Something a friend said as we were talking to him about our idea of possibly leaving Japan really impacted us.
Imagine making like they're making, right? Let's say they're making over $300,000 a year. Imagine making that much money, being able to just buy a home for cash somewhere and just staying there, paying like a fourth of what you paid in taxes over in Japan, and just being like a lot happier, right? And just visiting your mom, your dad, whatever you want to. I've uncompressed my life to a level where I'm not really gonna be sacrificing nonsense for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like staying in New York was like not the best decision ever. So I moved, and that's just like, you got to do what you got to do.
He said, it sounds a bit negative, but if you continue on this path of one vacation a year, You can literally count the number of dinners you have left with your parents. Just take the average life expectancy.
How crazy is that?
Assume for one vacation a year, you get 5, 6, maybe 7 dinners, and then multiply that by whatever is remaining.
So 20 times 7, that would be 140. That's how much dinner he's had left for. You know how ridiculous that sounds, guys? You know how crazy that is? And how sad that is? Is it 140? Yeah, it's 140. I think it's 140.
My husband's parents are now in their 70s. They're
70s already, guys. Oh my gosh.
healthy, but still, they're getting older.
5 years left.
And just the thought of being able to quantify that, the number of dinners left, really hit us.
I would just literally like buy something somewhere else and do like Tim Ferriss does, like live somewhere for a month or 2 months and stay in Sweden. And by the way, living in other places that are foreign are not as expensive as you probably think it is. You can basically just get a fully furnished apartment for like a year. I mean, like 2-3 months, and stay there for like a whole 2-3 months with those people there, and like spend time with your family. That's what I would do. That's what I'm doing in general.
And as I mentioned in my video about quitting the big law firm, the last 2 years of my life have made me realize just how limited time is. And spending time with the ones you love is so much more important than other things like money or having a prestigious job. So
really
my husband, about a month ago, made the decision that he would leave his job too. And there are, of course, so many factors, including seeing greater opportunity outside of his current position. But ultimately, one of the main reasons came down to wanting freedom and wanting this control over his time. Warren Buffett once said that the most important decision you'll make in your life has nothing to do with money or your career, but it's actually who you choose to marry. I feel
that's a big fact. Wow. You know what I like about Warren Buffett is like that anybody and everyone can just take something different from him.
I'm really lucky to have found someone who shares the same values as me. We both were in very traditional, demanding careers when we met. Him in finance, me in law, and now we've realized that we don't really care about the fancy titles that these companies can give us, or the salary that would golden handcuff most people. What we want and what we value,
that's so true. Golden handcuffs. Well said, Erica.
Is the freedom to spend time with our families, to not have to ask for permission to take 7 days off.
Well said. And by the way, you know, this is why I say you have to analyze pay cuts, right? And your salary. If I work somewhere and I get paid, for example, in Japan, $70,000 or $100,000 versus work, for example, maybe in the US and only get paid, for example, $40,000 or $50,000, where would I want to live? The answer is obviously I'd rather live there. You know, I know I'm not going to pay as much money, but I get to do everything I want to do, and the money can potentially just go further because things are less expensive. I pay less taxes. I have more freedom, and I'm able to maintain my marriage better, see my parents more. It's all about, you have to weigh the options. A number is not what you're looking after. It's about what that number can do for you.
Try to have an impact beyond what we could have working for the large corporates. So he quit his job. He's going to be starting his own company that's completely remote, and we're ready for our next adventure. I've definitely joked that now he needs to make a YouTube video called "I Quit My Job After Learning This About Money," but I think he's going to leave YouTube to me for now. Our next
That's awesome. And he could potentially blow up on YouTube. I remember when Erica just had like 5,000 subscribers, you know? That's awesome, man. YouTube is amazing.
Next step is we're going to be living in Sweden for a month and a half,
staying
with my in-laws. These 6 weeks would have taken us 6 years to be able to spend this.
Oh my gosh. Imagine that, guys. Imagine the changes you can make today just by making one move. That's how powerful this is.
Much time with them if we just had one vacation per year. So that's a pretty cool feeling. After Sweden, we'll be in the US for a couple of months, and then the plan is that next January, we'll pick our new home base.
Nice.
And I'm not positive where, but we're looking at a few different options. Ideally, we'd love
Texas, Florida, and Las
a
Vegas.
Central location where we can easily get to Sweden to see his parents and Japan to see mine.
Don't negate also like foreign countries too, you know, like whether it's like living in I don't know, you know, like in just foreign countries, you know, France, whatever it is. Like, don't negate those countries either. They might be
Also
good too.
taking into consideration expenses, taxes, general quality of life, and all the other important stuff. Even though we should have a home base from January, the plan is still for the next couple of years to live a pretty nomadic life and keep moving to other countries, staying for a couple of months or so, discovering their customs.
Nice, nice. I call this mini retirements. You don't have, it's not like what you're probably thinking, guys, like basically where they just pick up and leave. It's more like they have a home base and then they basically just go to other countries, stay there. But because their jobs are remote, they're able to do their work from there.
Seeing
too.
the sights and ticking off my bucket list.
That's something I want to do too, guys. My first country is probably gonna be my home country, so Dominican Republic. My second country is probably gonna be, for example, Colombia. And I don't know what's next. We'll find out.
Ever since I was in high school, I've wanted to live in Spain and learn how to cook paella. Maybe even
Paella? What's
brush
that?
up on those Spanish lessons that I took in high school but really never used. Maybe I'll try to see all 7 wonders of the world, learn
Oh, that'd be cool,
how to surf in Hawaii or go sandboarding in Dubai.
My fiance would love those things. Not the surfboarding, but like seeing like the wonders. Like my fiance is obsessed with waterfalls. I don't know why. I don't know why, guys.
If you have any suggestions for where to live or where the next home base should be,
read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
I'd love to hear them in the comments. I don't feel sad about leaving Japan because I know it's not goodbye, it's just goodbye for now. And I'm excited because for the first time in my life, I'm not tied to one place.
You can always visit, you know? You can always visit.
Because of my parents or school or work. Thanks to your support of this YouTube channel and your support of Plug-in Law, it's allowed me to take this huge leap of faith. I'm really excited for this next chapter, and I'd love to know your thoughts about my decision.
That's awesome.
If you are looking into starting your own business, I'm
Here's the plug,
hosting a
guys.
completely free live training next week where I'll cover the legal things you need in place to get started. So we'll talk about LLCs and trademarks and more. You can reserve your spot by clicking in the link below. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.
All right, very good, Erica. Very good. Do I agree with this decision? The answer is yeah. Pretty good decision. Honestly, I think it's not such a bad idea at all. You know, if honestly, I would have done it a lot sooner. You know, a lot sooner. But you know, hindsight is 2020, and now you guys have made this decision, and that is awesome. You know, imagine having 7 days of vacation, guys. This dream job that's basically 7 days of vacation. You live in this fancy apartment, fancy everything. No money, not in their case, obviously, but this is the life of a lot of people out there, you know. Not what I want. You know, I love the examples you use, basically calling it golden handcuffs. It's so true. Guys, I have another call with one of you guys, so I love this video so much. Thank you for watching. If you like this video right here, well, like this video. If you liked Erica, check out her channel on YouTube. It is called Erica Kohlberg, I think it is. I don't really know how to pronounce her name, Erica. I'm sorry. But yeah, Erica, awesome job. Thank you for this video. Appreciate you a lot. As always, guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. On top of that, also, follow me on Instagram, Tommy Bryson. If you want to call me, link is down below. Just call me and schedule a call whenever you actually want to, for free, by the way. And on top of that, also, here's another video here, and click my face right here. And as always, peace.